Man, jeez.
No, I'm fucking
It's
getting all
already
this shit
started.
ready for it.
It started. Well, hello. My name is Nick Ben Rob with Dominus. Got with Cal, Dan, and we got some special guests, Win and Muted today, and Noble. Um, and we got a lot to talk about today. And again, welcome to the Dominus Talk podcast. How's everybody doing today?
Fantastic.
Doing
Great,
well, and
great.
yourself?
Good. So last weekend was the major, and we got a lot to discuss about that. Um, probably some stats, how overall experience, because we did say the last podcast that we did have some meetup, and we have witnesses in the house to tell these stories.
Witnesses.
Witnesses.
Make it sound like a murder.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I mean, did y'all murder anybody out there?
Attendees.
I mean,
Attendees.
So some of those matches were murders. I mean,
Yeah.
We'll get to that later, though. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start off with Win, Cal, Nova. You guys actually met up in person, correct, at Charlotte?
yes,
How was it?
it was fantastic. It
Yeah.
was so cool hanging out with the bros.
Bro, when we were at the bar Saturday night, that was probably some of my favorite time that was non-siege related.
Yes,
Yeah, we met some old dude who claimed that his dad made Pringles and shit.
Oh, I looked up every claim that this old dude at the bar said, and it was all false. Every single thing that he said.
Yeah, I didn't believe him. I just laughed and kept drinking.
Yeah. He did buy his booze, but that's what tipped me over the edge for the rest of the night. So
Yeah.
Yes. So that was pretty fun. It sounds like.
oh yeah, we drank with Temp too. Temp
Yeah.
from the
Yes.
server was also with us. He met up after bar hopping 2 other bars.
Yeah, you told me
In a
about that.
club.
That's wildin', bro. He's
Dude, the man was like sweating like he just ran like a 3-hour like just like treadmill on like 10 up a hill. Like he looked like he was already tired, but he was down to party.
I believe
Yeah.
it.
I
That seems like the thing to do.
I hit a bullseye at the bar. You know, that was a good time.
Yeah, we played some darts and bocce ball, but that's neither here nor there. We destroyed you at bocce ball, but
Yeah, got wrecked.
What is bocce ball?
You guys cheated.
We did not cheat. Okay,
Isn't that the
it's-
one where you try to toss
cheat.
it and get as close to a certain ball
No.
as possible?
Yes,
Yes,
that is.
but Cal got mad because he tossed the ball. He's like, "Ha!" And then I went and I just like beamed the ball with the one that we had, and then just went to the corner, and then we just started throwing him in there.
Isn't that part of the rules? You can't do
yeah.
that, right?
You cheated.
Okay, so we hear a sore loser here. Okay.
Co-partner.
Cheater.
But the games were fun.
Yeah.
There was something because there's a lot of pros and cons, but I don't want to be the first one to get into it because I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah. So I would like to touch on something real quick. How many of you guys were at the Raleigh Major the year before? Or 2 years ago, I guess, at this
See,
point.
that would be me in 2019. I was the only
Was that
one.
you were the only one?
I met up with someone else that I met at the Raleigh Majors that was also there. There was only one other person I met that was at the previous one that was in my previous group that was there, and he now plays on a collegiate team. But I forgot what team he plays on, but I remember seeing him.
Okay. So being at both, could you describe the difference in setup of the event, the preparation, and the atmosphere vibe that was coming from the crowd?
For sure. It seemed like I went back and looked at some of the videos that I had on my phone. It seemed like the crowd size inside of the because basically the Charlotte Convention Center that we went to has like an underground portion, but they had multiple underground portions that are these large, I guess, areas. I want to put it because it's not like really a stadium or anything, but they had a lot of space, like 4 giant columns basically of or 4 rows worth of like seating and stuff columns, I was right, worth of seating and stuff like that. But the majority of like the back half of it didn't have as many people. Like it started thinning out once you got towards the middle. So I noticed the cameras, if you ever go back and watch the Charlotte Majors, like they don't they didn't pan over when they were at the analyst desk to they didn't go fully to the right where we were, because at that point that's when you could see the crowd start thinning out. And they had one camera that was directly over the front side of the crowd. So every time they did a shot of the crowd, it was always facing towards the stage and never facing the other direction because of how kind of empty it was compared to the Raleigh Major.
Yeah.
Because the Raleigh Major had just two giant rows or two giant columns worth of seats, but they went all the way back, and then they had like bleacher seating that just went back on inside of two giant ballrooms that they put together.
Yeah, like when I saw the Charlotte Major, I was like, it's the crowd seems pretty small for like an event like this, and it seems like it did seem like it was a convention center. Like it was everything was like flatlined of the seating, so where like it felt like you couldn't really see because somebody behind you probably.
Oh,
from my point of view.
Yeah, that happened. I had to change seats multiple times because people were sitting in front of me that were too tall, and yeah, it was just one big giant open space.
that's the thing that pisses me off the most was like, oh, I thought you said screen, because there was one screen. There was one screen that was casting the games in the center. No matter where you sat inside, there was only one screen. Where the Raleigh Major had 5. They had 2 on either side, 1 in dead center, and then 2 further back halfway through the crowd. So no matter where you sat, you had a good spot to actually see the game. Where this one, you had one screen, but the other screens that they had the supplemental information. It's like who's alive, like what do they have, their kits, all that other stuff. The Raleigh Majors also had that. Like I have pictures from both, and like I'll put them in the Discord so you can actually see them.
Don't forget about the supplemental screens. They didn't actually use them until the final.
Yep.
What do you mean by the
That was another
screens?
thing. That was I will show you. I'll show you. So let me go and I'll put them in the Discord if y'all want to
kind of describe it.
Yeah.
So the supplemental screens are there's these 2 giant flat screens that were actually bigger than the screen we're watching the game on, believe it or not.
Wow.
And they sat right behind both teams, and above each player's head would be the character they're playing, their kill death ratio, which that didn't work half the time, their kit that they had, and if they were alive or dead.
Oh, so like the stuff that usually is put in front of them, like the little.
Yeah, like
yeah, but it was put behind them.
Okay.
Yeah, like those were pretty cool because like it even showed the bullet count in
Yes.
their current magazine. But like again, I would have been perfectly fine not having that and had 3 effing screens
Of the same gameplay. That
because
makes sense.
the seats were sectioned off into 3 very large sections, with the center one being the biggest, and that's pretty much the only section of crowd that they showed. Like Wynn said, we usually sat at the left, and the left was maybe a quarter full, and once we got to the major, I started hearing from multiple people, and then I heard it on being cast. It's like, oh, it's a sold out major, and I'm just looking around. I'm like, you sure about that?
Yeah. It might have been that people pulled out because, like, as we've kind of said within the Discord, isn't this the first major that they're doing in person pre or post quarantine?
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
they couldn't stop mentioning that.
So the
Yeah, sorry
info
if I'm
looking for
bringing it up.
content tab directly above where you guys are, there is the Charlotte Major and then the Raleigh Major. And as you can see, the Raleigh Major had multiple screens. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
There's probably
7.
one on the far. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can
you've
see all
got
of them.
you've got a lot of different point of views, so everybody can watch.
Now, the Charlotte Major, as you can see from the top point of view, you can only see, and this was during the final, or not during the final. This is actually during one of the other games because that's Liquid. But yeah, so you could see the supplemental screens on the left and right. Oh, also the players' faces had webcams that were streamed in front of them, which was pretty cool. That was one of the things that was a really cool feature. So you could see when people were getting tilted whenever they got killed or whatever. But like,
Iconic.
yeah, I know. I was watching his a lot.
Tilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what's really funny is that because of how high the stage was and how far back we were, you couldn't see it half the time, and people were having signs up half the time too that were trying to get like shown.
Oh
on
yeah.
Wow.
So it wasn't
Like the banana signs.
and because it like that guy actually sat in front of us, like he sat like a good chunk away, but I could see like he literally like got out a Sharpie and wrote the banana thing on the other side of a different sign that he had. Um,
Yeah. Let's not forget there was like the first picture he posted, and there's like that little fucking cross section there. People would regularly like meet up in the middle of that cross section and just stand there and talk. It's like get the
yeah, it
fuck
was
out of the
really
way. Like
it was so aggravating. Also, if you look back at the Raleigh one, that's me standing like halfway back, and every
Yeah.
single seat has a person in it. Also, there's a VIP section which there wasn't this time. Directly in front of the players, there's a VIP section that doesn't have that many seats like left, but it was a lot of seats up front too.
yeah, it looked like a lot of family members for teams. Just due to the poor seating conditions, they just sat to the left, like in our section, but near the front.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
when Liquid was playing, like their whole cheering section was off on the left. So or whenever Liquid did something, they would like stand up, yell, clap, all that stuff. But it was like only like there. It's like those dudes are clearly like family and related to these dudes, and they're like sitting back with us. Like that's a little messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Astralis, for example, was all the way to the right whenever they were playing. Like
Yeah.
all like there was like one lady that the stream could actually hear her like yell. And I think it was one of the mothers for the players that was on the right hand side.
I mean, hey,
Twitch
your
chat.
mom's always
Twitch
your
chat.
number one fan.
Yeah, Twitch chat was definitely
They did not like her at all.
Yeah. we pulled up the Twitch chat and they were flaming her because
Well,
you could hear her over the stream.
Twitch chat doesn't like a lot of people. Let's be honest here.
That's fair.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Oh, and because I had always wondered about it, this is the first major I ever went to. It appeared that on average, the Twitch chat was about 3 to 5 minutes behind the game.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Like, because it was really hard. Like, if something crazy happened in a round, and like, I'd post in the Discord like, "Holy shit!" and like, I'd see everyone's like still watching, and they're barely starting that round. I'm like, "Oh, I need to
Yeah,
shut
like
up."
me.
Wait, why would they delay? Why would they have a delay if it's like?
Well,
I don't think it was a cause.
It's a live event, and it's kind of like broadcast TV where you want to give yourself a
Yeah.
buffer in case you need to.
Oh,
cut
okay,
something.
okay.
Yeah,
And
they probably
also
had to do
because
it for ads and stuff like that.
Well, I would like to say it's mostly because I don't know if it ever got through the stream, but there was a couple times where some F bombs were thrown. And it's supposed to be a family stream.
Yes.
Yeah, from the players.
Yeah.
Canadian dropped a bunch.
I have
Oh,
not.
wow.
I did not hear any of them, so that probably.
Yeah, that's
affected
probably why because they knew.
Yeah,
Well, the Raleigh major didn't have that buffer because when Fabian went up, and the first time that G2 won, and he went up and he was dropping F bombs and stuff like that, they were basically like, "Well, we can't let that fly." So the next game that they won, and Fabian was going to come out and speak on the stage because on the Twitch stream it was showing a commercial, but on the stage Fabian got yelled at by one of the producers from Ubisoft in front of the entire crowd, and Fabian was just like going off on this guy. And then they finally got him off the stage, and then Pingu came out. So if you ever go back and watch those interviews of when they won, you'll see the first one's Fabian, and the rest of them are Pingu.
Yeah,
he got media banned right there.
Yep.
I think he got fined like a shit ton as well.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, it was pretty funny too, because during the commercial breaks, like the host would come out and like just do whatever. At one point, like some dude had a sign that says like I should call her. So he's like, "What's this sign about? Who are you? What's your name?" And he's like, says his name. He's like, "Oh, it's about this one girl." He's like, "Let's call her right now. Put her on face chat." And so he like takes his phone.
FaceTimed her.
Yeah, FaceTimed her, and like he has it facing the whole crowd. He's like, "Hey, we're over here at the sixth major, and so and so wants to talk to you." And blah blah blah. Like, holy shit!
And he's like, he wants you to know, or he was like, "I want you to know that this is the sexiest." And then the whole crowd was, "Yeah." And then he just kept doing a bunch of other adjectives like describing this man, and the crowd would just go wild. And then he handed the phone back to him, and then the next time we saw his sign that said I should call her, he crossed out the word should and put I did call her.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget, because any Siege player knows, can I get a oh yeah? Yeah, they did that with the crowd too.
I'm still waiting to see that posted somewhere because that was imagine the entire crowd just saying oh yeah.
Like he just comes out, he's like, hey, we're not live right now, and I've always wanted to do this, but can I get a oh yeah? And everybody just goes wild.
but
Go ahead.
but banana meme was. I missed it. I'm very sad.
It was top tier.
Yeah, that one got streamed where each time I forget who it was of one of the players on
NJR.
PC.
It was
NJR, boy.
NJR.
Yeah, each time he ate, the crowd just going wild, and there was someone cosplaying as Mozzie, and he brought a banana.
Oh, he got on some dude's shoulders, went up to the front, and just was like walking around and pretending to basically ride this person like a horse, holding a banana like a gun, and was in front of the stage to the point where the camera was like, "All right, I got to film this stupid stuff," and then he like went around and followed him so everyone else could see him.
Damn.
So, quick question. This is probably way out of line, but was there the gamer funk smell in the audience?
One guy behind me at one point in time, because I remember I actually got up and left, and then about 10 minutes later, because I was like, man, I really hope that's not me, because I thought like I sweated through my shit, and I got up and left, and I didn't smell anything for a while, and then I came back because I remember there was like one person that sat behind us like a row or two, and then he didn't have anyone else sitting with him. And that's how I realized it, because as I was coming up, I smelt it before I got to my seat, and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's this fucker right here." So yeah, there was one. That's the same thing happened at the Raleigh Major to me, where someone a row ahead of me who was wearing a fucking trench coat in August in North Carolina weather, fucking and gloves, and oh my god, like our entire row was like, bro, we almost left or moved, and we were at the second row, so we didn't want to leave for the Raleigh Major. But yeah, there was a guy that sat behind me that I could smell like 2 seats up. But other than that, that was only for like one game, and then he fucked off somewhere. So
There was a lot of gamer smells at our hotel.
oh yeah. I don't
Oh,
want to talk about the hotel, man.
yeah,
I'm really pissed off about that hotel.
don't believe online listings. They didn't have a
They
restaurant.
didn't have
They
any
didn't
of
have
our
a bar.
fucking.
We didn't get the
We didn't have the
pool.
rooftop pool either. We didn't have. Okay, so everything that like our amenities was like listed, we didn't have any of it. I literally came down for breakfast the first like morning after I got there, because I got there late Friday. The first thing I see are carpet like dryer things, like the things you see when people have like a flood. And I was like, oh my god, they flooded the kitchen, dude. They flooded the kitchen and the lobby, so there was no breakfast. I was like, sweet.
Yeah, we couldn't get our crappy breakfast.
Yeah, it's like we couldn't get
Unfortunate.
we couldn't get a single fucking amenity. And then they told us like the only thing I got was like one beer with a half a lime that they put in called a wedge. But like I couldn't get it in the fucking bottle. I was kind of mad because I drunk one beer waiting for y'all so we can go out to wherever we went.
Yeah.
And their bar was 2 seats, which is not a bar, and they just had like whoever was like at the front desk would serve you, but half the time I like after I got my beer, they just disappeared because they're like, I don't want to serve people. They were just gone. Yeah, it was kind of shitty.
Sounds about right. So we spent a lot of time talking about like the atmosphere, what actually happened in the group meet, but let's actually get into the actual event itself. So we know going into the playoffs from Group A, we had Oxygen and Team 1, Group B, Team Liquid and Exit, Group C, Dark Zero and G2, and Group D, Astralis and Team BDS. Now, throughout the playoffs, a lot of teams got eliminated. First round losses went to G2, Team 1, Exet, and BDS. And in the semifinals, Liquid lost to Dark Zero in 3 maps. And Astralis beat Oxygen, which was a pretty big upset in many people's eyes, in 2 maps. But overall, Dark Zero eventually upset Astralis in the finals to win the major.
I can
Yeah.
tell you one thing is that we ended up leaving whenever Astralis was beating OXG as bad as they were, like because there was no point of watching that, and we pulled up our phones at the B Dubs and just watched the rest of the match there, because it was how we predicted it was going to go. Once Astralis just kept dominating them like OXG, like it was not that close.
Honestly,
to say
I
the least.
really thought Astralis was like coming out as the underdog of the major. Even though they did perform well in the NA, I was hoping that they was gonna be an underdog, and I was surprised they made that far into the finals with that, beating Oxygen in that.
I honestly had Oxygen to beat them. That was who I was rooting for.
I think a lot of people did.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
they
nuts.
Oxygen's a more established team. They're more reliable, I guess I would say, when that's only because Astralis hasn't been around as long. Like this is Astralis' first major appearance, and they got as far as they did, so it's actually
What?
kind of
No.
crazy.
What do you mean major appearance? They've been out for almost a year.
Their first major, well, I guess.
Your first international land.
There we go.
Yes.
There was that SI and the major before.
No, they weren't.
It wasn't
They
an
were
SI.
not.
Oh wait.
No.
Oh wait,
They were
I
not.
could be wrong. I'm thinking as far as like the team itself. Okay,
No.
my apologies. Okay, this all right.
Yeah,
all
they
right.
got 33rd in the qualifier for
Okay.
SI, so they didn't make it.
Okay, and they didn't make it to the last major, huh?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
They've only been competing on the Pro League stage since October of 2021. It looks like,
Bro, it feels like
or that's I think so. Yeah.
it felt like summer of 21.
Well, their marketing is extremely good because while we haven't been seeing their Pro League team, their content creation team has been pushing out tons of stuff like the whole hey, this is how you play this operator on this map, you need to look for these things, so and so, and all that stuff, like the instructional videos. They've been putting those out for a while, and they're very, very popular.
Because I remember we talked about that last podcast, and and it's still even popping. Like they push out a couple of videos, I do believe, right after SI, not SI, but Major, and their Twitter and everything. Like I really, again, I have very strong respect for Astralis. Like I like that could be my team. That and probably DZ. uh, I just need to find a team to go with, and I'm gonna have to root for those two.
So speaking of performance, like I'm looking at MVP awards, and it looks like Astralis got a ton. Um, Forrest got the most. It looks like he got semifinals MVP, quarterfinals MVP, MVP day, or most MVP wins, and then day one's iconic, day two was Shaiko, and then tournament was Pambazoo. But yeah, Astralis got a lot of accolades for how they performed, but again, was individual performance that was good on Force and Iconic's part, and then DZ performed as a whole, and it showed because they won the fucking series. So
Canadian was, I mean, he stepped up when he needed to step up. There was some clutches with those matches.
I told you he's built different, and I do want to touch on this. There were a lot of upsets. I know for my original 4 picks for the quarterfinals, I had Liquid, Dark Zero, Xset, and Oxygen winning, and for the most part, I went 3 for 4. And as we went along, I lost a couple of those because I thought OXG was going to be in the finals and Liquid was going to win over Dark Zero. But I know 2 weeks ago, Muted was very open about his picks and what he wanted and hoped that was going to happen. So, Muted, if you could just go over your 4 picks and how stuff differed pretty much from what you were guessing early on.
All right. I was predicting an NA final. I didn't know who it was going to be, but I knew it had to be NA because Brazil are frauds. BDS, they need to do better at LAN. G2 was inevitably going to flop because that's just how they perform at LAN recently. And APAC are clowns. So I'm going into the final. Fraud 0 versus God Strawless. And I think, it's Raps. Like, Astralis take the first map, overtime barn burner, and like, ooh, it's happening. Then Dark Zero take Dupac, and the stress starts to kick in. But then Astralis rebounds, and then they just can't close it out on bank. And then Troy Comedian wins a major, and
like,
unlucky.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
That was honestly probably the big focal point, was that Canadian won a major with DZ, and I think a lot of people going in thought DZ wasn't going to go too far, just because of the amount of skill that was in the tournament and their brackets as they went from one team to another. I know Clutch was very adamant about that while we were actually watching the majors, but to a point, I had a conversation with people about it while the actual final was going on. You can't talk shit when you barely win the first map. I'm sorry to tell you, but when you go to overtime and you somehow barely win, you can't be iconic going over, like, yelling at the other team across the aisle from you and then losing the next two maps and going 0-6 in one of them for the first half. Like, you just can't. He did that multiple times throughout the major, and if you're gonna talk that shit, at least get some kills early on, because you're just looking like a fraud at that point.
Even when they actually won, he was talking. It seemed like he was talking shit, and I saw even the crowd, like one of the analysts, they said to talking about Canadians being old and stuff like that, and I was like, I think Canadian is starting to show his age, and he's talking all the shit now, but because Canadians like what 20, 30 something.
He's pretty old. I think he's like 29 from what I remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a little bit older, but you can.
He's 25.
25?
Yeah.
Bro.
That sounds about right. That actually
Which
sounds
is-
about right.
Which is old by esports standards.
Yes.
But like you can. DZ has a lot of talent, and they have had a lot of talent. It's just they never could get wins because, I guess, the big problem is they didn't have that one unifying IGL, and Canadian comes in and immediately turns them into a winning team almost.
Yeah.
So because Canadian plays support, he didn't, on an individual level, he didn't perform better than like NJR or whomever, but 100% it was his leadership that probably led them there, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Because they, like I said, they have the talent. They needed somebody to organize it correctly and lead them to it.
I know the announcers talked about the route, like actually going in and reorganizing after their first time playing together, and that might have also been what it was and how they reorganized the team. Because early on, wasn't he put in like a fragger role, but he was put more into a flex / support to help facilitate the people who could actually get a lot more frags?
Yeah, I think in the early stages of NAL, he was on frag, and then he's been transitioning to flex throughout like the major and at back half of the season into the major.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I do want to talk about, that crazy ass 4K that Iconic had on Oregon.
Yes.
The play of the game, if you will.
That shit was wild because if you play Siege, the second you see somebody who just shoots, like, that's the first time I've ever seen like that amount of patience with things, and it worked out in his favor. I don't remember if they won that map, but
They
yeah,
did.
they did. No, they didn't. Or DZ did. DZ ended up winning Oregon, but that round was crazy as shit.
Yeah. Because the maps it was Oregon, Bank, Cafe. No, not Cafe. Villa. And
it was
Border.
Villa, Clubhouse, Border, Oregon, Bank. DZ won Clubhouse and Border. Astralis won Villa and Oregon, and DZ closed out Bank.
Yeah. I wanted to
So.
Yeah. I keep on getting confused, Bank and Consulate, even though. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was getting so confused. Why does it have a DZ sign on Oregon? Like, the fuck? The pick. They picked it. That's why. I got confused. I'm sorry.
DZ lost Oregon pretty substantially, but then again, Bank was a complete and utter disaster for Astralis. And a lot of people agree, like if you were watching it, that they were just openly just trying to buy time for themselves after they went down 5-0 pretty much. Because like 3 or 4 things happened back to back to back after picking a wrong op that just cut DZ's momentum down. And it was so obvious. I think a lot of people could agree, but to a point, glitches like that do happen. It's just they almost came back because so many wrong things happen back to back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was let's see. I didn't much. I was busy with work, but I know that it was because it was it was one map that was like very defender heavy, like very strong defender heavy to where I'm not sure. I think it was Oregon because wasn't like DZ very like low, and then when they went to that defensive round, they just basically won it all.
Okay, so on both Border and Oregon, they were both defender heavy. Oregon, you saw about 5 defensive wins across the board, 2 on DZ1, 3 on Oregon, or it's 3 on Astralis, sorry. But on Border, it was 4 and 3. So DZ won 4 rounds of defense, or Astralis won 3. So as far as Border and Oregon went, Border was much more of a defensive map, but on Bank, it led all to attacks. They went pretty much 5-0 out the bat for
that
attack.
Yeah, that's what I remember because there was it was like they shut them down really fast on those defensives, and like it was. I feel like even the op choices that Astralis made with Montaigne and Cade, that was something. They did freaking Finka, right? Because they not even nobody really banned Finka at all. Like none of these of these bans of all 5 maps, they did not ban Finka, which was a problematic op. They did not. What was the most problematic defensive?
As far as defense goes, the most banned ops were Mira, Cade, and Valkyrie in that order.
Those are pretty basic.
Yeah, and then on offense, Stature, Mav, and Hibana were the most banned, with Flores directly behind Hibana.
Yeah.
It was a very kind of open set of bans for the most part.
Mm-hmm. It was more. I do. It was more strategic value as far as what DZ banned, because they banned Tachanka and Twitch the first map, then Thatcher and Cade, which is generic, and then Nook and Mira third map in Border.
It was a lot more target bans.
Those are target bans,
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the Nook is kind of they started seeing what Strauss was doing with Nook, and they decided to just put a stop to that.
Okay.
And that's kind of what led to their success partly.
Yeah.
But speaking about ops, though, we've got a lot of balance changes and the new presence map from the last season, and that's quite a bit to talk about in of itself. Seeing Finka going farther and farther into the overpicked.
She Finka boosted all the way to the top tier.
Bro, I'm pretty sure her overall win rate has gone down a bit, but she is so far over into the overpicked. It's bad. I've seen a lot of shit on
over one, like, and too strong, like, and the thing about it is they I think it was King George, he had not said something about they're not even going to probably address the whole LMG meta till season 3, and why?
That was part of the announcement, was that they're not going to be, they want to make sure they do it right. But a lot of people were saying in the interim, at least lower the damage on the LMGs. Like, give us a small damage nerf until you guys can fix everything. Because leaving it this way for another season is not going to be healthy.
Fix the finger boost with ADSs, because that is an issue right there. Especially when she finger boosts, the ADS prep time is way quicker than it is right now.
Oh.
Well, yeah, the balance with that, though, is that you pretty much can't hear anything.
Yeah.
So that's the balance with that. I think the easiest way to fix Finka, this is a short-term fix for the all-over health of things, and it's just regarding Finka itself, is take away her grenades, and her pick rate is going to drop through the floor.
she
That's
still
what I.
has
That's what I.
she has Gong 6. She was pretty good when she had the Heartbreach device. So if you take the nades and give her Heartbreach device or even a Claymore, those are probably
I'd be cool with Finka having a claimer, but honestly, I think really the only people like there needs grenades are like a huge thing with Siege. It's a huge hot topic item. Um, and it's hard to balance them because I mean they're fucking grenades.
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to balance it is pretty much only give grenades to operators that are referred to as essentially like entry frags. Like look at Iana. Like she has her body drone essentially. She has a Gon 6, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Gone
not
6 and
Yeah.
nades.
okay, yeah. But beyond just her fragging potential and a little bit of information gathering, like she's not the absolute most useful when you look at, other flex type operators. I don't think flex operators should have, grenades. With exception of Sledge, because taking away his SMG-11 sort of balanced him out a bit to where he's no longer viable as a long range and short range
Yeah.
operator.
True.
That was the whole thing with the SMG-11, and it made sense to me. Um, like Finka having grenades, that's almost tantamount to like Buck having grenades almost. Just
Yeah.
the amount of things that they can get done. Or
Yeah.
not necessarily like in Finka's case, not get done themselves, but due to their ability that they have, they can make sure that the rest of their team are getting shit done.
Yeah.
Doing our Finka boost so that the ADS time is drastically reduced. There's almost no recoil, healing, reviving, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm of the camp that if you're gonna toss around nades like they have been, they always take them away and give them to someone else. Give them back to IQ, please, because like
IQ
IQ's
had
kit at the current meta is just
I would actually agree with that. Take her Claymore and give her the nade,
yeah.
because
She
she
needs them back.
has no really much entry. Kind of like she can't just bust up a window and run in like Azoth, Finka, and Ayana. She cannot do that. So having that would probably benefit her more. That, and she can literally like destroy a utility from underneath with her the thing. That, and probably give her like some kind of visor to where she can probably like jackal. That might be too strong, but that's something to think about.
I think the nerf in the gadget in of itself is the fact that you have to have the pistol out and you have to put it away to use
Yeah.
anything else. And I think as it currently is, if you gave her a nades back, it would be balanced. Whereas if you gave her the visor, it would be a little bit unbalanced because then you'd be able to shoot the stuff with your primary, which is going to be a lot more deadly,
Okay.
especially if you're going against pulses or vigils.
Do you recall when she had nades? Because I don't believe I played Siege when she had nades.
It was a while ago, like couple of years.
Yeah.
It was
The
yeah.
last time IQ had nades was, I believe, it was sometime in year 4, if
was
I recall correctly.
probably like season 1.
Back in 2018.
Yeah, I didn't play Siege. Well, I kind of did because I started year 4, season 2.
Yeah.
So it had been.
It was around the time where they originally buffed Finko way back when Blackbeard was being nerfed still. It was a while ago.
Do we
Blackbeard.
remember what ops were out that season, by chance?
Yeah, I do. I recall all those ups because I know every. Year 4 was Mozzie and Gridlock, Warden and Nook, Amaru, Goyo, and Callie Wamai.
Yeah, but like the specific season, because that can
Which one? Because I went by an order like of release.
Yeah, but like along that timeline, where did IQ lose frags?
I don't know. That's what I don't recall. Cause
Okay,
I didn't.
here I'll go to Wikipedia. If we go down to the patch notes.
This was a while ago. I do remember that much.
Okay, patch 2.1.0. Stun grenades have been replaced with frags. And that was in... Oh.
What, year 3?
No, it was not year 3. Oh wait, no, that's when she gained them. Okay, wait, I was reading that wrong. Okay.
Yeah, they gave it to
Um,
her when they
did
added
she get-
nades into the game.
When did she get them?
That was like in year 2 or something. Wait,
And she
hold up, I
lost.
gotta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she gained frags in Velvet Shell, and then she would have lost them in one moment here, patch 3.2.2.
That sounds like it's year 3 when you said 3.
Which would be
From what I'm seeing, it is
yeah,
year 3.
Parabellum. Back half of no way.
Yeah, it was.
Did she have any kind of throwables after that? She lost her nades because she has never had a throwable as long as she's been having the Claymore and Breach Charge ever since.
Yeah, she has not had a throwable secondary utility since the frag grenade removal in the back half of Operation Parabellum. Holy.
Yep. So I think it's time we bring it back, boys.
I give her nades, but not flashes. Because
Yeah.
the thing about IQ, she is one of those fragger heavies. Like she can go run in, shoot up, and then she's basically like Ash, but not Ash. If you gotta be very careful with her, because her guns are pretty good. All 3 of her guns are pretty good, and if you give her the flashes, it might be better. But well, hold on. If you give her nades, she can basically nade somebody while they're on the phone.
Well, she would have to get off, and hopefully they stay on there.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing. You gotta hope that people are just gonna stay on it. But a lot of people, when they're in gunfights and they know pressure's being applied, they won't stop to answer the phone. They'll just deal with it because
No,
they're
when
gonna
that
assume people are gonna push them now
yeah
that they can
that
hear
and when
them.
somebody's on the cam, and plus Vigil, like she's a good hunt for Vigil, and with those nades,
Yeah.
bro, yeah. Um,
But yeah, no, that those aren't the only changes because, as we said, we were speculating about what we'd like to see out of the Finka nerf. But things that are actually going to be coming in the upcoming patch number 3, I don't have it, but it's the designer notes that came out on the 23rd of May.
yeah,
They are going to be giving us the ability to turn off or reduce the intensity of screen shake.
that's
They're
good.
also going to be increasing crouch walking volume. I've heard it is a large increase. They're also balancing multiple operators by giving 3rd secondary weapon options to Amaru, Clash, Dokkaebi, Finka, Glaz, Gridlock, Kali Line, and Tachanka.
To be
And also, sorry.
okay,
And finally, I'm just gonna finish this up. They're changing Glaz to a 1 armor 3 speed from a 2-2.
that's not much of a change, but I mean that's cool. Because none of the Russian ops are or 3 speed. Those ops were pretty much the ones that had the Gon 6, and so they got their secondary utility back. Plus, Dokkaebi and the snipers pretty much have a another choice for a semi-auto
Wait,
pistol.
Dokkaebi already had this. They took it away and now they're just giving it back to her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty much how it is with most of these.
Remember they gave her the
Right.
Gong 6. That's what they took it away.
Yeah.
Now they put it back. When I saw that 3rd option, I was thinking Maze Super Shorty is coming back, but I was so wrong.
Unfortunately, that's not going to be happening. Although I wish it was. One other thing I am going to mention, I've brought this up. I don't know why they're adding a pistol to Callie's arsenal because nobody's going to use it. Literally nobody. She already has arguably the best automatic submachine gun secondary in the game. Why would you trade that out ever?
I mean, it's not trade; it's more of an add-on.
Well, because you're giving up one for the other. You can only access one secondary while you're in a game.
Right. But it's not like people that's going to use that pistol is not really. They're about to suffer a lot. That's basically handicapping themselves. Because,
Exactly.
yeah,
I don't know why.
they just did it just because. The Glass and who was it? Who else got the bearing 9? And Tachanka, they got the bearing 9s.
I'd say that's a good alternative because Glass only had the Gon 6 and then that 9mm pistol. And Tachanka, he had 2 semi-automatics, if I'm correct, right?
Tachanka
The
had
GZH and the 9mm.
He had that submachine gun is pretty good, and the LMG was this dog shit slow.
Yeah.
Honestly, you don't really, when you think of Tachanka, you don't have to force yourself with that turret. You can play the that submachine gun, which is pretty good. And I do believe it has 1.5 scope, so I mean you can just.
It does.
Yeah, because
I just like that for Tachanka because it gives you a faster rate of fire, close quarters weapon.
Yeah, with the bearing 9, I'm talking about like as for the LMG. But that's Lion got the P9 back. Whoopee. I would like for Lion to get Heartbreach device. I'm just saying.
I think that Lion's in a good spot right now, and bringing the P9 back is actually a really good option because there's a rare instance, all right, that happens sometimes when playing Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. It's when you're engaging with Yana. And, you know, Yana, most of the time nowadays, with how the meta is improving, you will see her with an ARX. Do you know what happens when Yana runs out of ammo in her ARX and you are in very close proximity to her?
She's going to shoot the Gon 6.
At least, okay, yes, at least that's what you think. Have you ever been killed by a Yana with a Browning?
No, never. No.
When you do, you will be pissed. I'm just letting you know right now.
Oh, jeez.
They didn't give Ayana anything. She still has the pistol and the Gong 6.
No, she still has pistol and Gone 6, but I'm just saying, like, you know, even though, like, well, Lion most of the time, you're going to see him with the Vector 308. You know, you basically have an AR LMG hybrid, you know, 50 rounds, like, you know, decent damage, ACOG angled, yada, yada, yada. But, so this is less of a valid argument just because of those primary statistics alone. But, it'll be good to have Lion having, like, at least a viable secondary again, because the amount of times I wanted to run Lion with the P9 only to not have him have the P9, kind of frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm happy. I'm personally happy with that change.
When I have Lion, I have a drum mag round of I'm like estimated about 60 bullets. Me reloading
50.
is not an option. That is basically another LMG. The only time I will pull out my secondary is when and that will be the Gong 6. But that pistol is pretty good because Gong 6 is a pretty good secondary, especially when you have large drum mags. That is why
I think.
Go ahead.
Finish up with that. Finish up with your thought.
I mean, that's why Finka is still good because she, again, the nades, the Gong 6, so much destruction capability, plus suppressive fire. Again, we don't have to get much into the topic of the LMG. Yeah, we all know LMG bad. And I stand my ground.
Yeah. So I think one of the underrated kind of guns that are given out here is actually Amaru. She's getting a secondary shotgun. I just realized that. I'm like, wait. Out of all of these? No, I thought she only had the primary.
She had that before. She had that shotgun before when she was introduced.
So that's one of the ones they're giving back. Those top three are just givebacks. Clash, Amaru, and Dokkaebi.
Yes, because and I really do appreciate her for having that shotgun for when you need to go down a hatch, because going up a hatch is one thing, going down a hatch is a different story. So it gives her more verticality and transportation for her movement.
I was gonna say, not even as far as like a hatch goes, like it could just be useful in getting verticality because you're gonna be rushing up top or rushing to a second floor, so that gives you the ability to rush in and make verticality right away.
Yeah,
and not just be locked in, let's say, going linearly or going up.
Yeah.
which is, I think, a great option for her.
That's why I was kind of disappointed when she did lose that, because that kind of forced me to either do I need to run the SMG, or will I need the Gong 6, depending on how I need to enter and what I'm planning to do with Amaru, because Amaru is Leroy Jenkins. She will just go in, but you have to go in there with a plan. So with this shotgun, yes, it brings you more verticality. Sometimes you might not need the buck. You can just run the Amaru. Get in, make your line of sight, and then go out real quick. My thought process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to move on to the last topic I had lined up for today, and that's going to be the new operator, Sens, which is coming out in next season, Operation Vector Glare. Now, I've only seen a couple of set clips and like pretty clear explanations, because we saw them. Some of them were posted early on last season, actually, about the next. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It was
but
leaked on Twitter like 80 million times.
but recently, how useful do we think this is going to be?
It's pretty good. It's another smoke kind of play, but the way it is, I just like the creativity of this op was lackluster, because this is a Valorant player. Because I've even seen the pre-designs of Sense, and it was the same design of that character in Valorant. It was the flame guy. I don't know his name, but
Phoenix.
yes, it was Phoenix. It was basically all the things that he can do. Well, the line of fire and the design how he looked was basically Sense. This is a good. You can run the. I can think of Sense, and Ying being a major problem, because this is going to deteriorate a lot of lineup, like a lot of site issues, and this will bring up Warden's pick rate, because since it's going to be in the new season of Pro League day 1, so not only are we getting Azami into the season 2, we're also getting Sense in Pro League. So a lot of things is going to happen in Pro League. Like I'm already predicting that Pro League is already training in TS. They're not even thinking about playing live servers. I'm believing they're starting to strat up in test servers.
I mean, they've been, most of the time when new ops get prepped, or like even from the beginning, most of the time people, they always scrim on test server when there's always something new coming out, because they want to have strats pre-prepped for like the next season when when the operators like are off quarantine. So with this season, they're definitely going to be hitting the test server like a lot harder than before, purely because the quarantine is gone, and like if you want to have that competitive edge, you're gonna need to get strats out, and you're gonna have to innovate right now. You're on grind time if I'm like any top tier pro team.
Yeah, because again, this one's gonna be a major grind time, because again, Azami is coming in out of quarantine, so that, and then you got to think of Sense really quick, like how to strategize with Sense, because he has the can opener and what, a Claymore or
he has Hard Breach and Claymore, I believe.
Okay, that is a pretty good shit, because that. And he is a very good support op. So you can open up a wall, throw that line of sight, and get a plant down, or just get into sight and hold cover that way.
And Gone 6 as well.
He has Gong 6?
He has Gone 6. He's a 1-speed 3 armor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he has the new POF 9 AR, along with the DMR for Twitch and I believe, who else has a DMR? Line?
Yeah, Twitch and Line. And may I just be allowed to go on a rant for 1 second here?
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, the POF9 is the dumbest piece of weaponry I think I've ever seen added to Rainbow Six Siege, because from what I've heard, all right, and it could be wrong, it could be different when live build comes, but from all I've heard on content creation, that is a 9mm pistol caliber carbine with the 50-round drum mag.
So it's like the PDW from Jackal.
It's the PDW with a long barrel. Do you know how little recoil the PDW has?
Basically none.
I don't
Exactly. And now, wait. Explain to me why you have that same format with very little recoil, and then you're giving it a long barrel, a full rifle length barrel, and you're literally getting worse recoil out of it, and possibly worse damage. Why? Explain to me.
I think that's balancing standpoints because you're also going to be giving it a lot more range, and this is going to be a slower op. So it's going to be focused on a lot more longer range to medium range engagements, especially when you're cutting off line of sights. Like you're trying to prohibit people from getting in close to you. So I assume that's where this is going to be coming from. I also saw that Glaz's gadget works against this, so I assume Warren's will too. But I assume that the reasoning for that is that it's going to be focused on longer range. Why that has worse handling? Great question. But
It's a 9mm.
it's going to be coming down the balance probably.
I don't get it.
That's a gun nerd thing. I'm sorry.
Just make up some weird contemporary cartridge or something, because if you look at the magazines, those things could easily hold 5.56 or even 308. We have a literal 308 with 50 round mags in the V308, as we talked prior, which kind of doesn't make sense in and of itself anyways. That entire gun doesn't make sense. It's made up. So but it's just it hurts my brain. Just make up some contemporary cartridge or something that we've never heard of and make it have weird characteristics so the recoil attributes actually make sense.
They
Please.
did with the freaking Thorns gun.
That's a real round, but it only works for 6 guns or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It's just so obscure.
Because designing a direct blowback submachine gun with 50 action express, again, well, that really doesn't make sense, especially for how low recoil it has. You'd have to have some crazy modded internals and probably a whole new bolt carrier assembly, but rant over. This is
So overall, Sense gun is very unique.
Yeah, we'll say that.
It's stupid.
Also, has anybody had the chance to do the shooting range? Even though it's not much, we got a shooting range. I myself did it a little bit. It was good.
I have not done it, but I will say I appreciate all this effort that they're putting in the preparation and aim training / control within Rainbow Six. Because although you can go to these other Kovacs and aim lab and stuff like that, I appreciate that they're bringing in stuff like TDM. They're bringing in stuff like this, where it's just you can actually come in and practice and get better at what you're doing within the game with the guns in the game.
Yeah.
And it's very unique. I will say.
Quick question. I'm letting y'all know. If y'all did not know how to get into the shooting range, you need to go into the learning area. There's a shooting range in there. That's how you get to it. Plus, they have, for any new players that are coming to Siege, I would recommend you going into the learning area and learn the ops. They have now tutorials on how to use said gadget now.
This is within the test range, right? Or the test server, right? Not on the actual.
This is all on test server. This is not on live build yet.
It's going to be on
Please install the test server if you want to get access to these features early. Thank you.
We still got what, two weeks?
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yes.
3 weeks.
No, 2 weeks. It comes out because they the battle pass determines when the next season coming out, because the next season is going to be on June 7th. That's the release.
No, they boosted the test server time to 3 weeks. So the battle pass will end, and then you have another week before the season comes out. I had the same mistake last season.
Yeah.
Battle pass is done. New season should come out soon. Nope, because it wasn't within the 3 week test server period. So then
it's 2 weeks. June 7th is the week after. That's 2 weeks. That's what they even announced it, that was gonna be June 7th, the new season.
Wait, they did?
Yes, they made it to where the battle pass is the entire season now. they not that week off period where you have to grind. You get a week off of nothing. They have to where the battle that was last season like that, yes, but now this year the battle pass extended the entire season. So the next
I
season,
did not know that. I am sorry.
The next season is June 7th. So 2 weeks. So pro players are crunching up numbers. You can play the test server for 2 weeks, even though it's not much gain, just understanding of what's going to happen. You can make your critiques about it so they know what's going on, so that stuff can get fixed. Even though I can guarantee when the game launches, there's gonna be a ton of bugs. So we won't get the next patch.
No one wants
2
to
weeks
play
after.
test server.
Well, this is an Ubisoft game we're talking about, so you know.
True.
And
also, you're on a 7-year-old engine that's like vastly underpowered and underfeatured for the engines of mainstream titles that are coming out these days, and you have a ton of complications with APIs and hardware limitations, this, that, the other. I mean, they'll get it done eventually. Because remember when they said that we couldn't have a streamer mode because of the engine? Well, guess what's coming this season? Woo, we have a streamer mode.
It's coming this season. The new implemented.
Yeah, it's in the notes.
Yeah.
Really?
Large content creators like King George.
George.
He's been using it and
Yeah.
showing it off and talking about it quite a bit.
The designer notes, that one.
Yeah, he gets stream sniped a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember them talking about it a ton because they spent a long time in the past speaking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say that it's already currently in a build, but it might just be available to certain people right now.
The streamer mode is lackluster. It's still, you can still get stream snipe with it. The streamer
but
mode
it's
2.0.
it's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are working in something. The most important thing about changing something is putting a system in place for the change to happen.
Yeah.
Like that's the hardest part, is laying that foundation, and then after that you just tweak it as needed.
Does Ubisoft work with R6 analysis and tab stats? Because they need to make sure they are in the same boat. Because I would appreciate if they had some support, these third-party apps for stat reviewings. Because again, I do believe you can find their information going through tab stats and R6 analysts when you're going to stream mode.
Yeah, they do work directly. I know it. Well, at least for R6 Tracker, I know that they are directly involved via API. And there was actually a feature in R6 Tracker actually had a streamer mode technically first. A lot of people didn't really know about this, but in settings, there is a streamer mode option that you could turn on. And I don't think a lot of people knew about that.
I think that's what they're using right now. Personally.
Yeah, that's what a majority of people are.
Well, R6
with
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, well, R6 and analysis, and I do believe tab steps. When a new patch comes out, it takes a couple of days for that stuff to be fixed. And I know
updated. Yeah, I mean, well, that's just it's just making sure that everything is functioning and getting stats out, because like you have, I mean, at least from graphs I've seen prior, or I believe I've seen prior, I mean, there's a big influx in players at the beginning of the season, and it's just there's probably some stress, and there's new versions that people have to push out for those APIs as well, just to make sure everything's running smooth. It's a whole process, really.
Yeah.
So seeing them be on the same page, like release wise, in the future would be nice. But I mean, it's just a minor inconvenience that, like,
yeah,
it happens. Like, we can deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because slowly I barely use those, because if I pull up a ranked game and I look at the stats, that's more pressure on me. And looking at the percentage of, oh, you got this per chance of winning, I'm like, bro, that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a little tip about R6 Tracker, right? Only use it to look if people are cheating and how much elo you're getting. Your win percentage means absolutely fucking nothing, because all that percentage is looking at the elo of your team, comparing it to the elo of the other team, and then, via numbers and the elo system, determines which team has a higher percent of winning. That doesn't mean that it's always that way. All right? Like, it's win percentage means absolutely nothing. Upsets happen all the time. It's literally ranked. Like, you could be having dudes like that are like champ, like top like 200, and they're like plat 3s accounts, and like you might be on like a plat 1 account. You're like, oh, we have like a 90% chance of winning. Ooh, free low, and then you get slammed because like you never know what's happening with the player's individual skill. Everything that is gauged off of their skill is only in that one little number. And the thing is that number is wildly inaccurate because it accounts for so little compared to the complexity of the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Only wins and losses. That's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't take anything else into account.
There was something that got pushed back. The operator that was supposed to be coming from the country of season 3 got pushed back to season 4. Or did y'all
It
see that?
was the map.
The map. Okay.
It was the map that got pushed back. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it was the map.
Okay.
Because I did not know what you're talking about. I was like, what?
Okay, that was because I remember I saw something like, oh well, they pushing something back now. They're not promising what they're not promising anymore. It's supposed to come out this. I'm biting.
I will mention this. Now that you have brought up the maps, though, Emerald Plains. How have you guys liked it? I've literally only played one time on it. It was literally like 2 hours ago. I got it in the one match, and I was doing pistols only for season challenges. Everybody hated me, but first thoughts on it, thoughts now it's in here, but been in here for a season. I could care less if it's in there. I don't know why people are banning it so much, but
I have not played
because
it.
It's a maze, and it's not fun. Too many angles, like it's bullshit. I don't like it.
It's one of those things like people aren't used to it yet. Like regardless of like if people like it or not, like no one really knows it that well yet. And going to what Muted said, like if you don't like it, you're not going to play it as often, which means that you're not going to learn it as quickly. And it's just this like self-fulfilling prophecy of just this map sucks, and it just feeds into itself. So it's like they just released it, but it really should get a redesign so it doesn't feel like fucking Bartlett.
And it's also very
only one that's really sucked is
experience.
Favela. Favela is no, it needs to be taken out of rank. In my opinion, it's good.
It's not in ranked anymore. I don't believe.
Not?
I don't think so.
I do believe.
I think they took it out last season.
It's still in ranked. I banned it.
It's still in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I banned it like 3 hours ago.
Oh, that's cringe.
It needs to be taken out of. Like, I don't know why they're trying to. I know the community has been saying take Favela out because that map gets banned a lot. No one wants to play it. I like Outback more than I like Favela. Take that map out, and I did notice. Side note, they put Coastline in TDM. We need to spawn outside the map because Coastline is literally too small to be spawning inside the map like that.
Sounds like Favela spawns, dude.
No, it's way worse.
Those are terrible.
You have 3 stories in Favela. You only have 2, and you can literally spawn right where you died. That's what happened to me. Right where I died, and I was like, "Wow, okay."
Oh, actually, I've got an idea here. Noble, you still here?
Yes, I am.
So, being somebody that like you played the game, a few years ago, but you haven't really played it since then, coming back to it this week and experiencing all the new changes, all the new operators, the changes to the maps, like what do you think? What do you think of like TDM, how things are played now, like just anything?
I don't know. For me, everything feels like it's way slower.
It is.
Where when I used to play the game, everything was real fast and like action packed and stuff like that. But now aiming feels slower and just because I have friends who actually have experience in the game, everything is taken at a much slower pace. So
the skill level as a community has definitely risen to the point where you can't just be a monkey and get away with it for the most part.
Yeah.
Which is, it's unfortunate, but that's how games progress as they come out and people get accustomed to them.
It's like,
especially when they're new genres.
Yeah. I would counter that the game seems a little bit more faster.
Executes are a lot faster, I will say.
Yes, it is a lot faster because you can.
Yeah, and in terms of round progression, I would say it's faster, but in terms of engagements, it's a bit slower, I would say.
Because you are pretty much at this point forced to grab intel. You can't really enter anywhere hoping not to see anyone because people are rats. People will be everywhere.
Yeah.
And you used to not have to rely on that. You'd be able to say, oh, hey, people are going to be here and here. They're most likely not going to be here, but now they could be anywhere for that matter.
This game really does punish you when you have no other cam ops on defense. Because if you're waiting on sound cues, the way this game is, the sound cues are off because the far sounds seem more like it seems like left is right and right is left for far sounds. But when it comes close, it's you kind of second guess yourself, and then you also got to think about your position, like you're worried about getting shot from behind from an angle that might gotten open, and you're moving around, cause a lot of movement where the sound is where you're more noticeable now, and you're trying to not make as much sound, but you need to position to something better. It's a lot to be thinking about when you're playing the game. That's my thought process. It's a lot of
yeah. No, audio has definitely kind of been a worse and worse performer as we gone along. Like for instance, we were on Chalet. There was a guy top Mez, one of our people, and I was listening in the audio, and we could not tell where this guy was, and it just popped in my head. I'm like, he's gonna be on the left of the doorway next to the piano because I remember the type of audio that I've heard there before. Not because nobody knew where it sounded like. He sounded like the guy was on Blue, but I'm like, no, this guy is definitely gonna be to the left of the doorway. He was there at the left of the doorway, but it's audio has been very weird of recently, and I feel like it's only gonna get worse. Unfortunately,
I was always wanting it to be like, can we have to where teammates audio is not the same volume as enemy audio? Because I even posted up on Discord when I literally saw Hank pass by me. I heard something. I was like, bro, like what the fuck? Like if it's gonna mess up the game, but if we can ever get that some kind of solution to get that fixed where the teammates audio is not overthrowing the enemy audio, but that's me.
That happened to me today when we were playing that T-Hunt. I'm the one who shot you in the back. Literally, I heard somebody walking next to me, so I literally flicked to you and killed you. Like, I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yes, that is problematic because you can turn off the purposely shoot you. Yeah, you can do that, but the fact that still remains, he got spooked because I'm shuffling around when we're trying to listen for enemies. And a first person shooter, especially when you really don't have the same kind of first person view, like you don't have much peripheral sights compared to like real life. It's
well, it's weird because I know what you guys are saying, but like I imagine like situations where I've been in that where like I'm afraid somebody's gonna shoot me, and like I just immediately communicate to them like, hey, I'm coming up behind you. The sound you're hearing, that's me. But it's like it's a little much to expect people to constantly be communicating to that micro level. And the only reason I do it is because I was in the military and we would get yelled at if we didn't communicate every single thing that we were doing. So it was beaten into us. And so that's why I do that. But like, people that just play video games, just, do things that way and all that stuff. It's like they're not used to that level of like micro communication. And it's asking quite a lot for the average player to do it. Now, if you want, pro players and shit like that to do it, cool, whatever. But like for an average player, it's a little rough, I would say.
What
Like,
if the game had proxy chat? Like, well, to where the enemies couldn't hear your sounds, but where your teammates can deteriorate who's closer and who's further. Like when you're on comms, you can hear who's further, like closer to you, by the volume.
um, I don't think that would be a good addition to the game. I've played games where that was an addition. I've played, way back when I was younger, I was in like, these simulation realism units where even if the game didn't offer like that sort of proximity chat and all that stuff, there was mods to add it in with the server. So like you could tell like, okay, now I know this dude's near here. Like it fundamentally changes things, like
Mm-hmm.
everything. Um, I don't think it would be a bad idea for Siege, but like at this stage in its life,
Kind of too
putting
late.
something like that putting something like that in the game, like it would completely upend everything.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering the fact that like, you got people they talk in Discord anyways and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
then you would have to start mandating like people talking in chat. What happens if you because like you've seen it, like say for example a 5 stack goes against a 3 stack and then 2 randoms, like
Yeah.
we've all been in that situation before, stuff like that. The 5 stack, the 3 stack, they're all obviously going to be talking to each other in Discord, but the other randoms, they're going to be communicating in game along with that 3 stack, and that simple thing right there gives that 5 stack an advantage when it comes to proximity chat, because the randoms are going to be talking in game, no one else is going to be talking in game.
Yeah.
So it becomes quite problematic.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Thought process.
Is there anything else we would like to cover?
I think we covered most things.
Yeah, two things. Just to get a few thoughts in. All right,
Go for it.
how to fix LMGs? Somewhat right now. All right, make Zoar viable again. I'm not saying like totally revert it so it has no recoil. Make it viable.
Mm-hmm.
And revert angle grip changes. Please, for the love of God, give me my 40% boost back. Because like
Yeah.
they cut it in half to the 20%, all right? And then angle grip usage literally fell off a cliff. It doesn't provide a strong enough advantage anymore to where it's a like valid option of, do I want to run angle grip on this gun or do I want to run vertical? If you want to speed up the game and you don't want to have it so that people literally just hold left click or right click rather and just walk around the map ADS, make it so that we can engage in gunfights, well, ADS into gunfights at a proper speed.
25% good for you? 30%?
25%. I think this is how we should break it down though, because I think 40% across all weapon categories was a bit too much. Because I think on SMGs right now, angled grip is actually in a fairly viable position, like still.
Definitely.
Because you have far less recoil. So perhaps boost the SMG to 25, boost the AR to 35, and have like DMRs be 40.
Okay.
And then like LMGs, I think we can keep at 20.
Leave them. What LMG has an angle grip?
G8.
Sophia.
That's the only one. That's.
I was about to say that's not going to do much. I
honestly do feel the difference when I run IQ G8 with the angle and vertical, and I do prefer the angle, and I'm content with the ADS speed for the angle, cause that gun behaves more like a long barrel assault rifle than an LMG.
I'm much more the cast of, if you're gonna keep LMGs in a game, they should not be able to, especially if these higher rate of fire ones, they should not have higher than a 1.5 sight, personally. Because like,
okay,
think I believe hers maxes out at a 1.5.
I thought she had
Someone
a 2.
correct.
No.
She has a 2?
No, yeah, she has a 1.5. Fuses has. Wait, no. 2.5. Wait, no. Fingus does have a 2.5.
She does have a 2.5. I think honestly she should be stuck to a 1.5, and at that, either a handling change should be made where the recoil is much worse for all LMGs across the board, or you should do something about the ammo count and leave the reload speed the same. Because then at that point you have less ammo and you have to reload more, which is more time out of fight, which makes using those bullets less worth every time you do it.
50 bullets. I feel like no gun should have 100 rounds. 50 bullets is good enough. The way this game behaves, like why are you shooting 100 bullets on one person? Like it takes about 10 bullets at average.
And if you think about it, on defense, you only have 80 rounds, and that gun only has a 1.0 time sight. It does not have a 1.5. It does not have a 2. So why are you? I'm talking about Maestro's.
Yeah.
LMG for anybody who's wondering. His LMG is arguably the most balanced, even though it's still effective. It's what LMG should be in that game. They should be close quarter weapons. Even if they're low fire rate, they have a lot of ammo, and there has to be a way to balance them. And I feel like that would probably be the best way, is either make their handling terrible or make it so that they have to have a 1.0.
To be
nothing more.
There's not many LMGs on defense. So it's only like
there's only one.
2 people. Tachanka and Maestro.
Tachanka's stuck at a 1.0 anyway.
Yeah, and everybody else on attack should not be shooting 100 bullets like that. Like again, 50 bullets is good enough. Because it is, you can see with IQ, you don't need that much. Especially when you're over there laying down suppressive fire, it's fucking annoying. Like all you hear, and it sounds like it causes a sound bug as well too. Like I've heard sound bugs where one shot is just constantly going, and it gets annoying. Yeah.
Do you have something else that you would like to say, Miri? Because you said 2 things. Or
I actually have another thing to add on. Well, wrap up that discussion, add one thing, and then add another thing.
Go for it.
Or another thing to balance LMGs is make it so that the ADS time is so drastically slow that you're forced to the aim walk. I know I just literally complained about this, but the thing from pro play and a lot of high skill entry players are doing, they're basically treating the LMGs like the AR class used to be treated. They're running in, they have the timing down, so you just you hold your right click and then your ADS and you're flicking around them like clearing angles, doing whatever. Like make it so you have to be penalized on your movement when you're taking those engagements with an LMG. Because if you look, well, again, gun nerd rant, if you actually are trying to hold one of these LMGs, like the 6x4 one, like those things are kind of fucking heavy, frankly. Right. And you're not just gonna be strafing around with one of those things willy-nilly, just shooting at pillar when flashbangs are going through and you're dropping E-box, and that's not gonna happen. So definitely decrease the handling. Maybe do a slight increase to recoil. But I wouldn't say too much because yeah. And then free buck, please give him frags and ACOG back.
Now you're just being silly.
Nope, I don't care. I stand by it with my life. Think of frags, give them to Buck.
No,
please,
I thought we said
free
IQ.
my boy.
I thought we said
free
IQ.
him.
We
free him.
IQ.
Forget about IQ. Give IQ flashes. She'll be fine with flashes. Make her an entry. I don't care.
Give her names.
No. Give her the names, and then one final thing. What do you think about the rook change?
I dislike it greatly. I do not think defense should have another way to get up.
That is
personally
3 options to get up with only 1 options on attack.
Yes, I agree. I do not.
Well, attackers also have 10 observation tools at their disposal, including one operator who can take over the defender's observation tools, and they have attacker repick now too. And if you're bringing Rook, you're leaving something else on the table. Rook only brings the armor, the armor plates and then a couple of impacts. Like, yeah, his subs are good and blah blah blah. Well, almost every single defender weapon is great. So let's not even go into that argument. But it comes down to the thing of, yeah, Rook is great, but we really need a Bandit, we really need a Jaeger, we really need a Rooney, we really need a Malusi. Like it's that sort of thing. It's once if this was something that was put in the game 3-4 years ago, absolutely not, it would be way too OP. But you need to look at the operators on a macro level. You're looking at all these operators, you can only pick 5, 2 on each side are banned, and every season a new operator is added. So we get to 50, 60, 70 operators, or what are we at anyways with operators?
We're at 60. We will be at 64 at the time of next change.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're still, it's going a little bit slower because it's 1 per season, but like we're still trudging along. We get to 70 operators, we get to 80 operators, 35, 40 ops on each side, and at any given time you can only pick 5, and 2 of those are going to be banned. Like, yeah, it could be OP, but again, it comes down to, you're bringing Rook, but you're leaving something substantial on the table. And even if you get the Rook plates, it's not guaranteed they're going to get up. I mean, people getting away and getting revived is an exception to the rule. Most of the time, you get down, you're dead.
So I guess the only reason I'm going to offer an argument to this is because you're saying that you have to give up an operator to bring one of the others. As you can see by the win-loss and the presence, people have already made that change. They are bringing Thunderbird so many times and it's working out. And now they're adding another operator that's guaranteed a down unless they're headshotted. And then they can automatically pick themselves up. So that means unless you have control where you can get to that person that you just downed, you cannot confirm that kill no matter what. They're going to get up and there's going to be another gun back on the board. And that's kind of the issue that I've had with this, is because now you basically have a Thunderbird capsule wherever you are on the map for downs.
Except they're not getting their health back. I mean,
they have to get some health back to get up.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming they're only going to have 5 health.
20.
Yeah, they're getting 20.
It's 20. You go when you get up, it's 20.
But like it's one piece to the puzzle, as it were. I mean, like, you could have your argument, and then there could be another argument where it's like, okay, well, it's more important to play for refrags, to do crosses, this and that and all that stuff. Like, we could honestly argue about it for hours, but we don't know how it's going to play out until we see it on the community level, like when Tachanka was going to have that ability, and Ubisoft was all for it, and they put it in the TS server, and then after like 2 weeks, like, nope, and then just didn't talk about it again. So it apparently just didn't work out. I mean, Rook, they'll be putting this shit in the TS, and then if it just doesn't work out, then they're gonna more than likely remove it.
Here's the thing. Okay, in the William Delta, Rook is at a 3% of the win with a below 10% presence. So giving him that will increase his presence more.
It would basically make a Finka on defense.
Yes,
which is you're basically putting like where Jaeger is, but in overpick too strong. I personally don't think that's a good idea. And as you've brought up, and I will agree with for now, it hasn't even been put in the test server. So I am perfectly fine where it is right now because it's not even in the patch notes. It's not guaranteed to come in the game. Nobody has signed off on it. I assume, like what you said with Tachanka, it'll probably not get agreed upon because this just seems like a bad change. Unless, I've said this before, Rook loses his long range sight. That is the only way I see that.
But that's what makes him good, though.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
How about this?
No. That's not the only thing that's going to make him good, though, because like Rook is very powerful based off of the 2x alone. But adding this, so let's say the patch goes through. All right, it actually makes a lot of sense because people got pissed at Zoe for having withstand because it's like lore based balancing, the horrors. And then people are just like, if we're gonna have self-revive, let's have it be related to the gadget. Well, it's related to the gadget. You literally have like armor on top of your armor. Like, you just kind of pluck out and then boom, you're good. I mean, will that really... Is it all too realistic? No. Siege is far past the point of being, like, a realistic-ish type, military shooter game.
Yes.
So, I mean... I like it, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean...
Go ahead.
There has to be a balance for it, though. That's all I'm going to say. The reason Rook's so high right now is because he has that extra range. And the way Ubisoft has been moving, they've been moving towards taking away characters' unique perks, like the ones that aren't like on the board, so to speak. Like Zophia's Withstand, Echo's inability to get phone calls, stuff like that. So I think that this is the one long range sight that defense still has. And if you're giving defense another way to survive, I think you gotta take away one of their edges to even it out, or else he's gonna still stay in that 3.0 win loss.
Okay, here's the thing. That everybody knows when somebody brings in a rook, they're running across the map, spawn peeking, acting like a fool.
Most likely dying.
That okay.
Most likely.
Yes. Strategically, kind of still the same thing. Like even in pro play. This wouldn't be much of an issue because Rook only has the MP5, which is low rate of fire, good handling.
Don't forget about the P90.
Okay.
Oh god damn.
Continue on.
P90 is not good. It's not good. It's bad. It's terrible. I don't want to hear it.
Oh yeah.
51 rounds. Fuck y'all.
Continue
on.
Continue.
Just take the bullet off 50. Good.
Yeah.
He has impacts and bulletproof, or impacts and proximity.
Yes.
Okay. That not much of issue. If you could take, he need his impact because he ain't really useful besides reinforcement. So this is going to be swept under the rug. People are not going to really realize it. Not even feel like, oh, Rook is boss. Like, because a lot of times people even forget to put down the plates during the second round.
I think we've gone past that point. I think a lot of people do remember to put them down now because that's like the one thing they have to do, and then they run off.
Some people, I sometimes forget. I go straight and set up, and then round start like, oh fuck, I forgot my plates.
This guy's a war criminal.
And then some people want to be fancy, get on the table, put them down right here. Stuff like that. That just, but everybody else seems okay for defense. I mean, leave Clash where it is. Like, you can't really do much with Clash because if you did, Clash is broken again because he's so buggy.
I think I could say for defense is possibly bring another way to destroy nades eventually, because as you can see, Jaeger's still out there, but he's at the 2 weak point.
I want an operator that they put something down, and if a throwable is thrown in its radius, it throws it right back where it came from.
Okay, this guy wants to make a reverse. This guy wants to make a slingshot over here. Just
pretty much.
I would love that. I didn't think about that because I was going to say a Rooney, like you throw something that gets destroyed, like it's something it catches. But when you say throw something back, like I would actually
of course it would need to be, finessed and everything, but it's like it would make utilizing your drones correctly so much more important.
Yeah.
Is Wami just a joke to you?
No, Wami catches and destroys. He's talking about he picks it up and throws it right back. Like no.
Yeah, it's like a Uno reverse card pretty much. Yes. As an operator.
His name can be Uno.
I think they need another viable op if they're going to do that for the next op, because Jaeger, he's just getting beaten to the ground at this point. Like, he has to be picked because you need an op to destroy nades, but his actual weaponry is just...
No, it's not dog shit. Don't say dog shit.
I wasn't going to say dog shit. It's not the best, especially like when you look at vigils in comparison.
Just pull down, lol.
Look,
just pull down.
Like just one tap. You won't have to worry about recoil.
That the 416 is still good.
Yes, and it's good suppressive fire too. Like it's really good suppressive fire. Like if you're trying to, it's good suppressive fire. and it's
yeah,
fine. Jaeger's fine where he is. Like, can't touch Jaeger anymore. That's all. You really cannot touch him anymore.
Give him the fucking 4 times back.
If they touch Jaeger, they are necessarily picking on him because they do not like Jaeger. That's he is fine. So they need to bring up
The last thing I will say, in addition to this, it's just a common topic at this point. The bouncing's gonna get worse as they add more people. That's just how the game is. As you add more abilities, it's gonna be harder and harder to balance the game. I'm just saying, like, while we still can, come on, just start to bring stuff a little closer together, because we don't need stuff like Finko. We don't need stuff like Jaeger over here where they're way out of bounds in comparison to everyone else. I'm fine with the shield ops being down and away, to be honest with you, because shields don't really have a place in this game, all things considered. But
yeah, like Jaeger, where he was before, is approved. He's overpicked too weak. Like he's fine. I mean, honestly, he's fine. What, you can't do anything much, anything like, bring Doc up.
Doc's actually he's chilling right now, dude.
Like,
I mean, they're trying to cook up something with fucking
healing
the new faction within the team now.
Oh, I remember you talking about this one. Let's go. The new faction of fake ops.
What was it, like Wolfpack or fucking whatever?
Yeah, dude, I told people it sounds.
Guardian Wolf.
There is a anti-cheat that literally looks exactly like that, bro. They're just stealing fucking insignias at this point. It's a joke.
It's basically be nothing but teams. It's Rainbow Six, but it's not Rainbow Six. It's like different other factions now. We got 3 factions because what? I thought they made Thermite a leader for some team, but they're adding factions slowly. They just need to just throw them all out. Like, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, don't need to bring them out slowly. To say Rainbow Six kind of fell apart a little bit. We're having factions as the
just
Rainbow.
Add to the lore.
Yes.
Give us more story.
Yes, and Azami, I'm looking at this presence. She's underpicked too weak.
I think that's because she's not allowed to rank right now. When she actually is put in the ranked, I think that number will go up. But people aren't going to play with an op that you can't really actually use in ranked. That's just my 2 cents. I believe Thorn was around the same spot. Well, she was not in ranked.
Where's she at now?
She is currently in underpicked, but too strong slightly. It's like a 0.25 or a 0.5.
If you get hit with that Thorn, it's basically what I need.
It's
to
a
do.
lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage, and it's kind of like, what am I going to do? Am I going to run from this and get shot, or push up and get hit? Like,
well, you can just walk out of the radius sometimes.
But sometimes you don't know where the thing is at.
I like where it is right now, personally.
Yeah, it's fine. Ella's just fucking annoying. Like, Ella's shotgun is bad, but then getting hit with a Guzma mine is fucking annoying because you want to pre-fire anything that's about to swing a corner because you don't know what's going to happen. Go ahead.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
As far as stuff that
we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, we covered the major, our in-person meetup that some of our members were a part of. I'm not going to say cooperatives are in or whatever. He tried to describe them as criminals. We talked about the actual major itself, our presence, win-loss, and the patch notes for the upcoming season.
Overall,
but
any
final thoughts?
I guess we can close it off. But if you made it to this far in the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and come join the server. Give us your thoughts in the comments below, and I should have said that before, way before in there. And we'll see y'all guys next time. And this is us. I muted Noble. Thank you for coming in, Noble. This is your first time here, and the
Win was
podcast.
also here earlier.
This is the second time. This is Win second.
Win second.
Yes.
Noble's first.
Yes.
Yes.
Muted second as well.
Yes, sir.
So
follow me on Twitter. Muted R62Ds.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I
the
was waiting for it.
Twitter's been blowing up a little bit. It's getting up there, so we on it. So again, see y'all guys.
Appreciate
next
the
time.
follows.
Yes.
Yep. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Later.
Goodbye.